Now, Ian Healy, I ask you the question. There are magnificent bats that the modern-day cricketers use now. How do you like that one?
Yeah, this one's really good. It's been able to get really thick edges. That's about 40 mils, 4 centimetres, that edge. But what they've done is they've scalloped some weight out of here from the spine. Now, lots of players like that, but some don't. Brad Haddin, for example, does not like any scalloping there. He must go from the spine to the edge straight. So there's lots of different idiosyncrasies that players like. And that bow and the bats come in the last 15 years. It's a newish thing too, isn't it?
The profile is completely different to what bats were 15 years ago. Tubby and I will have a look at them after a break. Hi and welcome back to the Cricket Show. I've got Mark Taylor alongside, the left-hand, right-hand opening batsman. We're going to help you buy a bat. It's time to get rid of your old bat, buy a new one, and we've got some examples here in front of us. I'll let you start, Tubby. What have you got over there? This looks like a Michael Clarke special.
Well, we've got a great range of bats, haven't we? They all look similar, obviously apart from the stickers, but there's quite a difference in the bats here. And one of the big differences is price, and we'll talk about the different woods and what have you. Look at Michael Clarke. This is like a top-of-the-range limited edition. Look at that for a piece of willow. Magnificent. Bit of a bow to it. Look at the edge. That's probably, what, 2.5 centimetres thick. Not a lot of wood on the toe, where the batsmen obviously don't want to hit the ball. But as I said, this is a top-of-the-range bat because of the timber in it. Look, you can see how many different grains there are across the front there. I'd say, what, 10 to a dozen different lines along there. Compare that, say, to a Kookaburra, which is a cheaper bat, about half the price. Look at the difference in the timber there.
Yeah, I know as a kid, picking a bat was all about the number of grains. The more the better for me, and this one has got fewer, and I think that's a perfect example. So this would be a grade A English willow, and this would be a lower grade, and that's what happens when the clefs come into the country. They grade them, then they make the bat out of them. But all these bats, Tubby, have the same profile. They're very thick on the sides, their edges, and the back has got a lot of wood in it, but it's not as pronounced as the old style bat because of so much wood that is carried through the midsection.
Absolutely. Actually, I've got one of mine, mate. From circa 1998. Here it is, the Puma Millen Champ and Hall Special. Look at that.
I'll ask you before you tell us, how many runs did you score with it?
Oh, so many I can't remember. Let's have a look, though, at the difference in this bat. You can see straight away, this has got the classic, I suppose, roof of your house look about it. You look at the difference between that and the Davey Warner Kaboom.
How different
So they've taken wood sort of out of this area here and got it more in the middle and on the edge of the bat, where this is just sort of your classic design. Look at the toe. The toe on my bat on here has got a lot more wood down there, probably where you don't need it. Here's less wood, but once again, the wood's been moved from there up into the sweet spot. So
it's amazing how they've changed.
That's why they make more runs today.
Well, this is the Dave Warner Kaboom, and I think what's happened is the centre is a lot bigger in these bats than the old bats. They've changed tremendously. Okay, which should you go for? You're going into the store, you're playing, let's say, second grade here in Sydney. What are you picking?
Well, I suppose it depends on your aspirations. If you think you're going to be a first-class cricketer or even a first-grade cricketer, you want a quality bat. And if you can afford the Michael Clarke special or the Davey Warner equivalent, you're going to buy one of those.
About $700?
About $700 worth. So it's not a cheap outlay for a cricket bat. However, if you're playing third-grade shires or city or suburban cricket, that's a similar bat, isn't it? It's the same weight, and the weight is not heavy. The weight's not dissimilar to the bat that I used to use some 16 years ago. But that's going to be half the price and will probably last you if you look after it. So it does come down to price, but it also comes down to your aspirations. How good a cricketer do you think you're going to be?
Yeah, and if you're on Tubby's wage, you go straight to the top end. For the rest of us, we go down a grade or two.
Yeah,
and the other aspect about picking a bat is who's your favourite player. And I think if you love a player like David Warner, then you're going straight to the Kaboom, aren't you? You're going straight there because that's his bat. If you love Michael Clarke and you love captaincy, you're going straight for the Spartan. And there are other brands like Puma and Kookaburra as well. So, I mean, that's a big reason to buy a certain bat, isn't it?
Absolutely. But I must admit, I just like looking at all the bats. They are terrific these days. So, yeah, get the one that suits you, I suppose, is the answer to today.
And where you buy them? Rebel Sport and rebelsport.com online if you would like. All right, Tubby, let's pretend we're going out to bat again. I'm stealing this one.
I've got
Michael I love Clarke's. Davey Warner.
I've got Michael Clarke's and I've got my own.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Two bats. let me introduce my guests. We've got Mark Taylor, ex-captain. We've got current captain Michael Clark, and batting coach of Australia, Michael Divenuto. Great to have you on board, Diva.
Cheers, lads.
Diva, now we've got you on. I want to talk about your coaching and how it's going with the Aussie team, and how you got into it. So how is it in there?
It's brilliant. I've got a great job working with some of the best players in the world. The guys are terrific. I sort of finished a couple of years ago my playing career, but I had the best of both worlds for a while there, where I was still playing in England and coaching back in Tasmania. So for 4 or 5 years, back and forth from England, coaching in Australia, and they were pretty good days. But unfortunately, as most of us know here, that your playing days come to an end, and then this job came up. I was asked to do the job, and it was pretty hard to say no to.
Diva, 336 first-class games, 140 Sheffield Shield games, so plenty of experience, but no tests. How do you go when you work with someone like Michael Clark? Can you walk up to Michael and say, mate, you're batting poorly, get the elbow up? So, can you say that to him?
Yes, you can. I can answer that one.
On occasions. Papa is obviously an outstanding player and meticulous in his preparation, so it was very exciting for me to work with players of that calibre and just watch how they go about their work. Number one for me when I first got the role was to get the trust of the players. It's building that sort of relationship that they can come to me and when they've got issues and problems, and I can go to them and help them out. So trust is an important part of my role, and players to have respect that what I say most of the time hopefully is pretty close, but in the game of cricket there's so many opinions, and it's important to listen, and sometimes things work for your game, other times it doesn't. So that's up to the individual player to figure out what's going to work for them.
One of Diva's great strengths is that he can work with the 19, 20-year-old young player who's coming in to make his debut, and the 33, 34, 35-year-old who's played 50, 60, 100 test matches. His communication's outstanding, and he treats every individual differently, and he knows the individual player. That's probably Diva's most important role, to know so much about that batter personally, so then he can help you with his game. And no doubt he's played a big part in my career. He's helped me a lot.
I think the easiest thing with Pup is it's really easy to tell when he's grumpy, and he doesn't want me anywhere near him. So, and then other times...
Is that often?
Yep.
And then
we're winning, no. We're losing, yep.
And then other times I can see that, I'm safe to go up to have a little word.
Yeah, you're easy to read, Pup. That's
Thanks.
a good thing.
I'll take that as a compliment.
That is a good thing. But you played international cricket, and you played those few one-day internationals, so you know what it's like to be out here.
Yeah, that was obviously I was quite young at that stage, only 23 or 24, I think, and there was some unbelievable days. Even though I only played 9 one-day games for Australia, it was great fun. It's great to be involved in that side then, and with a lot of legends that were floating around.
As a batting coach, how much of it is actually sitting down and watching video, and how much of it's actually being in the nets or going to the game and just watching a player play? Is it a balance, or is it more about watching a player out on the field?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with is in the nets and watching the player out in the field. Most of the players these days get the vision themselves. Dean Hill's our analyst. He'll show all the footage of their past and innings and all the opposition that we're coming up against. So it's generally up to the player to have a look at most of that sort of stuff. Occasionally I'll help out with that, but generally my work's one-on-one in the nets and watching the game.
Diva, I want to put you on the spot for the youngster or the father or mother who coaches the youngster. What are the keys, do you think, if we go back to the basics of batting, what are the keys to batting?
Well, I think number one is watch the ball. And it's amazing how many times that I tell these guys here, just watch the ball. And keeping your head nice and still.
Yep.
Especially for the youngsters. Like, kids don't sit there watching television with their head bobbing up and down, or if they're playing their iPad or whatever, they don't sit there with their head bobbing up and down. So that's an important thing for kids, is to keep their heads nice and still and watch the ball.
What I notice coaching the under-9s, and I'm having fun doing it, but it's frustrating, is the ball, if it's lobbed up, bowling's very hard for them, but the ball bounces and it's always high, and it's really hard to teach getting in, playing the square shots. You were very good at that. What's the key to playing the pull shot or the cut shot?
There's something that came quite naturally to me. I'm not too sure how it happened, to be honest. I know following Dad around. Dad played a lot of bush cricket on concrete. Again, it's sort of the ball bounced a lot, so I got used to just hitting across the line, especially in the backyard and things like that, hitting across the line. And Kepler Wessels, I like Kepler Wessels as a youngster, and he just had a cracking cut shot. So I think that's where my cut shot sort of came from.
Yeah.
But for the kids, I think it's natural for kids to hit across the line to start with. So
just keep encouraging
just
that.
keep watching the ball and playing. I think at a young age is just having fun, getting out there and really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Michael Clark, can you think of one thing that Michael Di Venuto has said to you that's made a bit of a difference to your play?
Well, I think he's just mentioned two things. The watching the ball.
Yep.
So I think there's a difference between watching a bowler or an area of the bowl releasing the ball compared to, I feel, when I'm batting my best, I can actually see the seam of the ball coming down at me. Right. So we'll do drills where I'll get Michael to throw, have a glove on to cover the ball, and then when he goes to throw, he'll throw some balls down, his fingers down the seam, and some balls with his fingers across the seam, and I'll be saying out loud, down seam, hit it. He'll mix it up, cross seam. So for me, I know I'm watching the ball closely. And the other thing is my balance. I know when I'm keeping my head still, and the result for me is after I hit the ball, if I'm moving at all, my body is going in the direction I'm trying to hit the ball. That's when I know I'm batting my best. When I'm trying to hit the ball to leg side and I'm falling over here, I know my balance is not right. So head being still, watching the ball are the two most important things for me to continue to keep reminding myself.
That's great advice to everyone who's watching. Diva, thank you so much, mate. Look after your shoulder, because I know the batting coach has to throw a few cherries as well.
We see the new sidearms. They are absolutely gold. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here now. I'd be in a sling and in a hospital room somewhere, I think, recovering.
Appreciate your time.
No problems, mate.
Michael Di Venuto there. As we go to the break, and it's a big thank you to cricket.com.au.